This is Chris, the Idaho Painter here on Paint Life TV. Today we're going to be working on a cabinet job, and this is going to be a topic: to caulk or not caulk your floating panels. It's a subject that gets people all worked up and upset. So I'm going to talk about when we caulk, when we don't caulk. So if you want to know, stay tuned for this video. So we're just cruising right along, just applying aqua coat on these cabinets, and this is a job right here. Should you caulk the panels or should you not caulk the panels? And I don't ever caulk panels on doors anymore myself, but this job right here is Michael's got this job, and so what did you got? What's the reasoning behind caulking the panels on this job? Did you say you had a designer that?
Yeah, I had a client that has an interior designer, and she laid out the whole project, and they just handed it over to me and said, bid this, we want it exact to spec. And that was in there. That was everything sealed and caulked on the cabinetry to give it a seamless look. And so I just took what was given to me, and I just ran with it.
Yeah, that's so basically, Michael's got this situation where, the specifications spec for them to be caulked. And so, if you want to be able to bid the job and do the job, then you're going to have to, caulk them. And so, you just got to be flexible as a painter. Sometimes, even I can sit here and say, well, I don't caulk them anymore, but if I wanted the job, then I would have to caulk them. And then once again, to me, this is definitely a situation where I would recommend caulking them. And with the success I've had, even though I don't do it now anymore, with the success I've had doing it over the years, I think this is, a great situation where you will have success. It will look good. And these cabinets, these things are literally like over 30 years old. And so the quality of them when they were built wasn't as good of a quality, build. They're a little more, not as expensive of a cabinet. So, you just got to take every situation, and look at the situation and determine, what should you do in this situation. Also, climate has a lot to do, with should you caulk your panels or not caulk your panels. So our climate here in Idaho is an extremely dry climate. And so you don't have a lot of expansion and contraction, and you don't have a lot of moisture. It's very, very dry, very arid. We live in Boise, believe it or not, is high desert. So, we do have success caulking them. If you lived in a really wet climate, like down by the coast, maybe caulking the panels wouldn't be recommended. So you really have to look at where you're at, the climate you're at, and what type of doors you're dealing with, what type of wood species you're dealing with, and do the panels actually float or not. Grab these panels, even on these doors here. I can grab, showed you this panel, tight, does not float. I can grab this panel, try to move it around, and that thing is tight. It is not moving around. There's not going to be any expansion, contraction, and any cracking of the caulking. And also your top coat. If you're using a lacquer as a top coat, if there's any expansion and contraction, the lacquer would be more likely to crack and break than if you use, say, like a water-based Renner coating that's more flexible, like a PU. You're gonna have more flexibility, less likely that it's going to crack. So it's really just, every situation, you just have to take every situation, evaluate the situation, and determine what's the right thing to do. And once again, I know there's some people out there that just believe that you should never caulk a floating panel ever. But my challenge would be, to ask, that person that says that, have you actually ever seen a floating panel that was caulked? And have you gone back and looked at it, 2 years later, 3 years later? Because once again, I've actually caulked and done full sets of kitchen cabinets, lots of them in the Boise, Idaho area, and I've never once got a call back on them. And I've been doing them for years, probably 10 years, maybe something like that, caulking panels, and not one callback. So you have to go by, history and record also. If you did them and you got called back because they cracked, then maybe that's something you shouldn't do. But use a good quality caulking, like even an elastomeric caulking, Tower Tech elastomeric, their lifetime warranty caulking would be a great caulking to caulk floating panels with. Doesn't dry as fast as the quick dry. Like Michael, you use Bolt. Is it quick dry?
Yeah.
Or is that what you said, Bolt?
I was
No.
using Loctite, the Loctite.
Loctite.
And it's just like the White Lightning.
Uh-huh.
And it comes in a already pre-cut, very small tips, so it lays really nice beads and it dries it paintable in 30 minutes. So this is my second project using it. My first one that I did last year, I used it on and it worked very well.
So you've been a professional painter for a long time, Michael, and are you confident caulking the panels?
I'm saying on these panels, I'm very confident in the process that we've done in the products that we're going to use. But I will definitely in future, when we have jobs like this, will explain to the client that leaving them uncaulked could be a better option for the panels to be able to move in the climate that we have here.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point in speaking to the client, and so it's really client expectations and going over them, what the expectations of the end result of the job is. And I know that I ran into this when, this is why I actually started caulking panels on cabinets, is I didn't used to caulk them because I said you're not supposed to, you cannot because of the floating panels. And so I did this really high-end expensive job. The customer was adamant I caulk the panels, and I convinced them not to. And then when we were all done, the customer was extremely unhappy with the job and was extremely unhappy that I convinced her, to not caulk them. And if I wasn't gonna go back and re-caulk them and repaint all the cabinets, she was gonna go hire another paint or two. And so unfortunately, I made a client unhappy, and that's not what I'm in this business for. And so we turned around, caulked them, resprayed them, and even I thought they looked better when they were caulked. And so I started caulking them after that point. But then I always went over with the customer, explained, why I would, why I wouldn't, and the drawbacks and what could possibly happen 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and just explained in detail and went over it, with the customer. And then they always knew what to expect and knew what they were getting into. It's the same with applying grain filler on these oak cabinets. You can see the grain. What's the client's expectation, the end result? I mean, these would be, after they're painted, this is gonna be painted white, you would see really dark shadows and holes and pinholes in that. And 90% of the time, the customer is not gonna be happy with it. So we use Aqua Coat to fill the grain. And I go over that with the customer's expectations because I charge more to do that. But I make it very known, what the expectations are, that if you don't apply the Aqua Coat, this is what they will look like. And, you may be unhappy with it. And then it's good to show them an example of a door that's not aqua coated and a door that is aqua coated. So to caulk or not to caulk, that's the question. So as a painter, there's a time and a place really for, everything, I guess I'd have to say. And, as a painter, it's, I would say it's probably just be flexible. You can be flexible with the rules. I mean, there are some times that, you can be flexible, do it one way or do it not another way. Or even, if you don't believe, caulking the panels is the right thing to do, that's okay too, but be flexible with whether somebody else believes that, they should do it or not. And once again, Michael's he has to be flexible with this job because the client wants it, and that's what the client's expectations are. And they want these things, they want them caulked. And that's what the designer's expectations are on this job, who's involved in this, who's doing all the specifications for the job. And so the designers has probably had experience with cabinets being the panels being caulked, and that's what they want. And I think one thing is, if the designer specs that and you do it and it doesn't turn out right, then I think that's kind of like on the designer. So you have a little bit of a protection there. All right, so we're just finishing up working on this job, and just want to close out. Should you caulk or should you not caulk? And we've got two situations here. We've got a situation where I'm not going to caulk the panels, and we got a situation where Michael is going to caulk the panels. And really, it's just being flexible, as a painter, and being flexible with what the client wants, or even what the designer wants and what their needs are. So, should you caulk or should you not caulk? Every situation is different. Just take the situation, evaluate it, and decide on your own, and be confident with your decision. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I come out with a new video. It's free, simple, and easy to do. Hit it, slam it, bang. The subscribe button, notification bell. We'll see you on the next video. Out.